So Giannis is a two-time MVP, back-to-back. He's putting up insane numbers over this stretch also. He's like 30, 12, and 7. These are MVP-type numbers that Giannis is putting up. Is he a top 5 player in the league? Is Giannis Antetokounmpo a top 5 player in the league? I know it's crazy to say that after a guy just won back-to-back MVPs, but is he?
See, so the way I categorize it is you hit a certain level where there's guys on certain same tiers. You have LeBrons, Durant's, Kawhi's, Steph's. You have guys on that certain tier that are the same, and Giannis is in that boat. And then it comes down to who do I want the ball at the end of the game, and Giannis is at the end of that list. He just is. I'd rather Steph. I'd rather Kawhi. I'd rather Durant.
I'd rather Dame.
I'd rather LeBron. I'd rather Dame late in games. So, I mean, yeah, you're going to hit a certain level where, Joe, if you cannot close in this league,
yeah,
you're on the second tier to me.
It's very, very difficult. And he's definitely, I feel like, a top 5 talent in the league.
Oh, he's probably the most talented in the league.
But the problem is with Giannis is that we see the same Giannis every single season. So, like, I would love to see Giannis. Something that I think would help him extremely well is that, let's say he did develop a 6 to 8 foot floater. That may sound crazy to a lot of people. You got this big, strong, athletic freak out there. Let him go to the rim. Let him impose his will and be that dominant guy. But you got to play against what the defense is giving you. The strategy is not letting you get all the way to the bucket. And we've seen it, Giannis. You're just unable to make that three-point jumper and that mid-range jumper from the deep ends of the court. So why don't you just put a little bit of mystery in their mind, think you're going to drive all the way to the basket, and then just stop on a dime and lay up a quick 6 to 8 foot floater.
Because he's 7 feet, and to have that touch.
But he has that athleticism.
Yeah, but it's a different. It's a touch.
It's a work-on thing.
Touch.
It's a work-on thing.
Yeah, but so is a 12-footer.
I think you could see.
What's the difference?
But you could see, because it's a jumper, he can literally put his arm above the basket and just drop it in from 6 feet away.
Yeah, but Joe, they're playing him 10 feet away when he's 25 feet from the basket. The minute he gets 15, 12 feet away.
They keep backing up, though. They keep backing up. They're backing up literally to the basket.
Yeah, but it's such
to
a
stop
difficult
the dunk.
It's one of the more difficult shots in the game.
It is a difficult shot,
floater.
but I'm saying if he could add that to his game, I think that takes a huge like concern for him at the end of games away. You know what I mean? Because he can't shoot the shot. So there has to be something a little bit away from the basket that he can do. And then now they're using him as a screener and all those different types of things. Another thing that I would love to see Giannis add to his game is get on the post.
Yeah.
Shaq's been saying this for months now, that Giannis needs to get a post game. And even
Why
Charles
can't
Barkley
Giannis
said
be Shaq?
Yeah. Why doesn't Giannis should be on the phone right now calling up Hakeem or Shaq or one of these guys.
Kobe called Hakeem.
Yeah, Kobe called Hakeem, and LeBron worked with Hakeem as well. So Hakeem's willing to work with these guys, and LeBron James wasn't a post presence whatsoever, but he got in the lab, and he worked with him, and he made him an unbelievable post player, and it's hard work and it's dedication. And even Joel Embiid, the guy is unbelievable on the block. He's the modern-day Hakeem Olajuwon,
Probably.
Joel Embiid. So Giannis, like, I love you, and I think you're an incredible talent. But for me to sit here and say that I think, that you're a top 5 player in the league anymore, it's getting bleaker and bleaker. I don't think he is. I would take 5 guys over Giannis easily right now.
Yeah, like I said, you're in that same tier, and it's whether or not you can close games, and he can't.
Yeah,
he just can't.
I would probably, people would say, like, James Harden. Would you take James Harden over Giannis? And I would probably say yes. Even though James Harden, you would probably say no?
Well, James Harden is probably the MVP of the league, him or Braun.
Right.
But I think Harden alone, it's tough.
It's tough because of the all-around. But,
yeah.
Like, when I look at that, I see playoff shortcomings from both of them.
Harden and Middleton on that team win 65 games and back-to-back MVPs? I don't think so.
But, at the end of the day, Steve, it brings us to our next point on Giannis. Is Giannis a number 1 option on a championship team?
I think eventually he gets there. I do.
But what does he have to do to get there?
The problem is, Joe, he can't be a 2. He can't be a 2. It's impossible. A guy like him can never be a 2 on a championship team. He holds the ball way too often. His usage rate is way too high to be a 2. It just can't
But
be.
if you had another guy out there that could score it just as well, or if not better than Giannis, his usage rate does come down. He could be used, in a lot of ways off of the ball. And also, you don't have to get it to him every single time. He's not as worn down, and he's more effective, but he could still get the ball a lot.
Yeah, but I
he
don't
could
know
still get
how
the ball
well
in a lot of different spots.
I don't know how well he could play off of Curry. He just doesn't play well. Curry's going to get you open shots.
Well,
you can't hit him.
If you're gonna get in a screen and roll between Curry and Giannis, then that's scary.
Nice,
also,
but
if you're gonna get out in the open floor with Curry running it and Giannis having the ball, like Curry filling those lanes and Giannis having the ball, that's almost impossible to guard. Like that's the same thing as a LeBron type.
No, but
item.
just insert regular point guard here, and it's the same thing. Mike Conley, the guys that run teams, Rajon Rondo, what you just described to me was a regular point guard.
No, I'm saying Curry running the floor and let Giannis play.
I understand that, but I'm saying Giannis diving to the basket that's a regular point guard, whether or not
Curry makes it much more deadlier. I'm saying you're giving me the best player in the league.
But where I think Curry is amazing is the double teams he forces at 3, the double teams when he penetrates, and that's a kick out to Giannis, and Giannis can't hit that shot yet. So my point is that Giannis rather have the ball than play off of it, and he would play off of it most of the time with Curry. And I don't know if that's you using Giannis in an effective manner. I don't think it is. I just think it comes down to one thing: Giannis having the ability to develop a 12-footer. That's what it is. If he develops a 12 to 15-footer, he's the best in the league. Not by a short. He's the best in the league by far.
Yeah.
Who's better than him? He's more explosive than any player in basketball. And if he could hit an efficient 12 to 15-footer, who the fuck's beating them?
It's just so alarming that he hasn't been able to do any of those things
Just
and
that
add
one
any
shot.
of them to his game. Even on the post, let's say you got Giannis on the post, right? And Kobe said it better than anyone when they asked him about those old Laker teams. He used to always say, they ask him now, how do those old Laker teams stack up to these new era type of teams? And with these Brooklyn Nets, it's almost impossible to guard them, but the best way to guard them is to slow them down. So when you're going into a guy on the block, it's much harder to get out and run because the pace of the game is significantly slower. So if Giannis was able to do that, you'd see him be able to make up for that lack of talent a little bit more. And that's why I'm starting to believe more in Philly is because but with the more I see out of Joel Embiid is because if they were patient enough, these teams, to actually go down on the block in a 7-game series and match up and try to wear teams down, then that could be a recipe for success. It's very hard for teams in a 7-game series, night in and night out, to be able to defend a guy on the block when you're going into him 30 to 40 times and they're that dominant on the block.
I mean, yeah, but like I said, the modern day big man has yet to do that. Could it happen? Anything could happen. But I mean, listen, it's difficult. AD's failed to do that.
But like
Jokic has failed to do that.
It's just crazy because also LeBron doesn't do it on the block, but he does it within a game. Like when LeBron was playing those great Warriors teams, LeBron would slow the tempo down to insane, amounts that the pace would be so slow that somehow you were looking at it and LeBron, Jeff Green, and J.R. Smith and a bunch of other write-offs were somehow in the games with, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. They were on the cusp of winning some of those games, which is absolutely insane to think about, but it just shows you if you're willing to play a certain brand of basketball and stick to it, then there is a certain way to beat these teams. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 1,000%. I hear what you're saying.
So, I mean, like we always go back and forth on Philly and Brooklyn. That's something that now I'm seeing more of. Like Joel Embiid is someone who he gets on the block, and if you're willing to give it to him, he could get on the block 15 to 20 times a game. But also, I think what we miss sometimes about Embiid is his versatility is insane. I've seen him, and he's just so skilled. And he plays at the top of the key, Steve. So it's not like you're only having to dump the ball into an Embiid.
No, it's
you know
different.
What I mean?
It's different.
So
he could hit open shots.
Right. So now, I mean, I know your arguments. Like you come back and you say, I'd rather have X, Y, and Z shooting the ball in terms of Kyrie or Durant, but I'm just saying, or Harden. I'm just saying, I think it's really neck and neck between those two teams. And then if Milwaukee was to develop that style of play, it could work for them, in these future runs.
I mean, yeah, it comes down to one guy. It's Giannis Antetokounmpo. If he
Yeah.
wants it and he could finish games, and then
Yeah.
they come out of they play the Nets.
Right. And someone that